Get ready to mourn your bank account because there are 11 light novel series making their debut during the month of August. Hello everybody and welcome to my monthly look at the brand new light novel series that are making their debut, this being for the month of August of 2020. I'm Justus and my channel's all about light novels. I've got videos like this one, news, reviews, and of course this is the home of the Light Novel Podcast. So if you love light novels or maybe you're just starting to get interested in them, make sure you hit that subscribe and that notification bell so you don't miss any of my future light novel content. So like I said at the opening, there are 11 series making their debut this month. We've got a bunch from J-Novel Club, Yen On, as well as from 7 Seas, but we also have the newest publisher, Tentai Books, making their debut with their second title in their lineup, a fantasy series that, funny enough, is actually where we're going to start. Again, if you want to see all of the light novels that are releasing during the month of August, make sure to check out EnglishLightNovels.com. I've got a link in the description down below. I've got listings for all the light novels coming out in August, and actually well beyond that as well. I've got some listings all the way into March of next year, so you can kind of get a sneak peek at what's coming out in the next couple of months. So like I said, starting off with August, we have on August 7th from Tentai Books, Welcome to the Diner of the Exiled. Leave everything to the strongest cook of them all. Backstabbed by those he considered friends, Dennis has been exiled from one of the strongest guilds around, the Silver Wings Battalion. He doesn't think much of it though, as he was dying to use his level 99 cooking skills anyway. That's why he decides to leave the city behind and open up a diner in the countryside. While pursuing his dream, Dennis meets Atriel, a girl exiled from her noble household and relegated to slavery until he saves her. The pair open the diner together, and their first client is an exiled knight from a different guild? How peculiar. But she is not the only customer. A cocky mage and a drastically overworked yet underpaid sage become regulars as well. The knight brings trouble to the diner at times, but Dennis's cooking skills and beloved butcher knives cut through trouble and hunger alike. Thus begins the legend of Dennis and his diner, the talk of the town. So I checked out the manga of this one a little bit just to kind of see what it was like, and I have to say that I really like the whole vibe of it. It has one of those sort of quirky characters plus that found family type environment that we have in a lot of these fantasy novels where a whole bunch of disparate people that are kicked out of places that they just don't belong find a place where they can be themselves and be valued. So I'm really looking forward to this one. So we'll see what this book is actually like. I only checked out a little bit of the manga, so I really don't know what the whole thing will be like, but I'm looking forward to finding out. On August 10th, we have 2 series making their debut, both of them from J-Novel Club. The first one is The Epic Tale of the Reincarnated Prince Herscherik. The life of Ryoko Hayakawa, a hardcore otaku, came to an abrupt end the day before her 35th birthday, before she was reincarnated as a beautiful prince in a fantasy world. However, her dream-like royal life didn't last long, as she soon uncovered the depths of politics and corruption of her kingdom. To protect the king and his people, Ryoko, reincarnated as Prince Herscherik, resolved to conquer the darkness within his country. The problem was, the prince had no physical strength or magical powers, and even his stunning looks were surpassed by every other member of the royal family. Still, the prince persevered, using the skills he acquired during his previous life, the experience of an office worker, Ryoku's drive for change, and her otaku brain. I have heard some pretty good things about this book. Some people were talking on the Light Novel Discord and said that it had a very sort of realist hero kind of vibe to it, although not so much the harem aspects, as the prince is like 5 years old when this book starts. Well, is it 5 years old? I know Mirage said that like he's young. Like the reason he's pretty weak is because he's literally like a child. So this one I'm looking forward to checking out. I think it could be kind of cool. Also on August 10th from J Novel Club, we have When the Clock Strikes Z. When hardcore first-person shooter enthusiast Hiroaki Dua pulls off his VR headset and steps outside for the first time in ages, he realizes that the whole world is in ruins. Soon after, he coincidentally runs into horror junkie Otoha Judo, and the two of them team up to endure the zombie apocalypse. One fateful night, a VR AI known as Raven leaves them a cryptic message. Survive, and humanity may flourish once again. Follow these ragtag oddballs as they cling to hope in a hopeless world. Now, this is also written by the author of Outbreak Company, Blue Steel Blasphemer, Wild Times with a Fake Princess. So this is sort of like an author that J Novel Club has obviously picked up a number of their titles. I believe this one's only 2 volumes long, so it's a pretty short series, but it's, you know, we don't have a lot of zombie books in light novels. In fact, I think the only one I can think of off the top of my head is the one from Cross Infinite World. Another World Zombie Apocalypse is so not my problem, which I actually heard is really good, and there's a brand new 2nd volume coming out of soon. So, yeah, if you like zombies, you don't have a lot to pick from, but at least there's something. On August 11th from Yen On, and I'm not going to read the preview, the synopsis of this one, because I did that last month, and then they delayed it into August to, like, literally a few days after I posted the video, and that's going to be The Eminence in Shadow. I swear to God, Yen, release this frickin' book. It has been delayed more times than I care to think about. I have wanted it since it was announced. I know I am not even a little bit alone in wanting this since it was announced, and isn't it about time? So it's supposed to come out August 11th. I'll believe it when it's in my hands. On August 13th, this one debut from 7 Seas. Now, this is a digital advance release. The print release is going to come out November 24th. And this one is The Sorcerer King of Destruction and the Golem of the Barbarian Queen. In a land of swords and sorcery, a ritual is conducted to summon forth the Sorcerer King, who will bring about ruin, but succeeds only in summoning an ordinary human boy from Earth. Stripped of his name and memories, but endowed with sudden enormous magic power, our protagonist has no intention of destroying the world. Fortunately for him, tinkering with his newfound magic results in the creation of a powerful and beautiful new partner, and she can keep him safe. Don't know much about this series. It's not one that I've heard much about, but you know, again, it's that sort of partnership type thing. I'm curious to know what the characteristics of the Golem are like, whether she's going to be that very strong silent type, or whether she's going to be kind of like a yandere type. Like that, I think that's probably what I'm most curious about with this particular title. On August 17th from J Novel Club, we have a classic series making its return, and that is Slayers. Beautiful and brilliant sorcerer girls just can't have nice things, huh? All I wanted to do was swipe a little bit of bandit treasure. Now, suddenly, I'm being chased around by icky trolls, nasty demons, mean mummies, and brooding golem bad boys. And for what? A tiny little artifact that can bring about the end of the world? Huh! I'll show them there's a reason you don't cross Lena Inverse. So this one, of course, when it was announced, created a big stir from older fans, such as myself, who grew up through the 90s and were huge fans of the Slayers anime. This was like one of those anime in the 90s that you could not be a fan of anime without at least knowing what Slayers was. Pretty much all of us watched it, but again, even if you didn't watch it, you at least knew what it was. Lena Inverse was an iconic character that pretty much everybody who was big into anime in the 90s recognized. And so this is a huge win as far as I'm concerned for light novel fans. This one was picked up by Tokyopop, and again, it was one of those series that died after Tokyopop bit the bullet in around 2008. Well, apparently they didn't bite the bullet. They just kind of like closed shop in North America and have dribbled out releases elsewhere over the years. But anyway, I believe we only got maybe 6 or 8 volumes of Slayers from Tokyopop. I don't even know if they were released in chronological order. Tokyopop did some weird things with light novel releases. However, we are getting this one from J Novel Club, and as far as I understand it, this is going to basically be the whole original series, which currently sits at, I believe, 17 volumes. So, got lots to look forward to and lots to read, and they're going to be releasing this series. They already announced in omnibus print editions like they're doing with Full Metal Panic and Crest of the Stars. So something definitely to look forward to. I'm pretty hyped about this release, honestly. On August 18th from Yen On, we have a spin-off of a manga and rather infamous anime, recently infamous anime, and that is Interspecies Reviewers, Ecstasy Days. In a world where an endless variety of humanoid species coexist, there's an equally endless variety of sexy shops for all your nightlife needs. Join Stunk, Zell, and Krim on their erotic adventures as they sample the many deviant delights that the world of succubus joints has to offer. So, as far as I understand it, I think this is just kind of retelling. I don't know if this is retelling the manga or if it's just telling original stories using the setup of the manga, or whether this is just telling completely separate story. Like, I don't know how this one works. I'm not too sure. The description certainly makes it sound like this is something kind of standalone that you could read without having seen the anime or read the manga. Of course, the anime got canceled early because, oh boy, was it pretty racy. I'm kind of curious just how racy this light novel will get. Yeah, I guess we'll see. Also on August 18th from Yen On, we have The Demon Sword Master of Excalibur Academy. One of the most powerful demon lords in history has been sealed away for 1,000 years. When he finally awakens, he is reincarnated as a 10-year-old boy. Now, under the care of the girl who released him, the demon lord Leonis must navigate the perils of Excalibur Academy. So again, this seems to be a growing trend in light novels, the whole demon lord being reincarnated centuries, millennia later in their own world, and kind of dealing with how things have changed and perhaps even the legacy that they left behind. Not too sure what this one's all about. I must admit, I was not too hyped about checking this one out until I started watching the anime of The Misfit at Demon Lord Academy, which is airing currently. And man, like, I wish that light novel series had been licensed. So I must admit, I'm kind of more inclined to give these types of books a try now because of that one. And I know a lot of you guys have been liking that series too, so who knows, maybe we'll get that announcement later on. On August 26th, from J Novel Club, we have volume number 1 of Monster Tamer. 1,000 Japanese high school students are suddenly thrust into an unfamiliar world rife with dangerous monsters. Their survival becomes dependent on those who awaken to unexplainable powers. Majima Takahiro, a normal second-year student, does not get any such power. Instead, he joins the majority of students building the homestead. But when a group of empowered students revolt, Takahiro is left wandering the forest on the verge of death. Having lost all faith in humanity, he finds salvation from an unlikely source: monsters. This one, I'm kind of curious to see what it'll turn out like. The initial setup is pretty dark. There are, like, when they say revolt, they kind of mean like they decide to murder and rape their way through the non-powered students. Yeah, it starts off pretty grim and horrifying. So if you're no fan of that kind of material, I don't really know how this one's going to turn out for you. Kind of strikes me that it's going to be slightly Arifureta-ish in terms of the main character becoming stronger and more powerful to exact revenge on people. I don't know whether that's sort of the trajectory that the whole series takes, but definitely, yeah, it starts off pretty grim. I'll say that. Although I do know Mirage was just saying on the Discord that he ended up enjoying the book more than he thought he would, given how it starts. So maybe it goes to better places and kind of moves beyond that kind of material. I'd be glad of that. So in any case, that one coming out August 26th. On August 27th, we have the last two light novel debuts. These ones both coming from Seven Seas, and they're both advanced digital releases. Both of them will be getting their print releases several months later. First up, we have The Saint's magic ability is omnipotent. Say, a 20-year-old office worker, is whisked away to a whole new world. Unfortunately for Say, the ritual that summoned her, meant to produce a saint who would banish the dark magic, brought two people over instead of one, and everyone prefers the second girl over Say. But this is just fine by Say, who leaves the royal palace to set up shop making potions and cosmetics with her newfound magic. Business is booming, and this might not be such a bad life after all, as long as her supposed sainthood doesn't come back to haunt her. This one's getting its print release on November 24th. Now, this series is actually pretty popular in Japan. I remember back when I used to cover the top 10 weekly bestsellers in Japan, this title showed up a couple of times on that list. It sounds like this is going to be very much a thing for fans of like I Shall Survive using potions. I think it might be a little bit more shoujo-esque than that, and maybe a little bit more serious. I'm not too sure, but definitely this is a series that I would like to check out. Finally, for the month of August, and like I said, also on August 27th and from Seven Seas, this one is a digital advanced release that will be having its print release on October 27th, and that is Roll Over and Die. I will fight for an ordinary life with my love and cursed sword. A dark and bloody light novel series about two women fighting fate and finding love in each other. And of course, the Seven Seas, this is one that they've also picked up the manga for, if you're interested in that as well. Flume Apricot was never meant to be a hero. Despite 0 stats across the board and a power she can't even use, she somehow finds herself included in a party of heroes. But Flume's life hits rock bottom when the party's renowned sage, Jean Intage, decides that the useless girl is dead weight and arranges to have her sold into slavery. Tossed to monsters to be feasted upon for her master's entertainment, Flume makes the desperate choice to reach for a cursed weapon, and something new awakens within her, a grim dark tale about one woman's blood-soaked quest to reclaim her life. So if you didn't get the impression from that, this one's apparently pretty grim and dark. Yeah, a grim dark Yuri. I'm very intrigued. Like, I have to say it, I'm really intrigued. I may hate this because I'm not a huge fan of like the grim dark, especially if it involves certain scenarios that I kind of am afraid this might. But at the same time, grim dark Yuri fantasy. I don't know. I'm too curious to not check this one out. In this video, I'd like to say a special thanks to Ine Erlkana. Gee, I hope I pronounced your name right. It's the first time I'm doing it in a video. Mitchell Von Regen, Yun, and Renzaz for their support on Patreon, as well as the support of all of my patrons that allow me to keep making videos like this, as well as supporting other projects like the Light Novel Podcast, EnglishLightNovels.com, and the upcoming light novel database. I've been teasing that one in a couple of videos now. Hopefully I should have more to say in the coming weeks. We are hopefully going to see a beta release for it sometime in August. So I'll have more to say when that happens. In the meantime, those are all the light novels that are making their debut during the month of August of 2020. Which ones have got you excited? Which ones are you definitely checking out? Which ones are you maybe a little hesitant about taking a look at? Or maybe you've never even heard of and now you're kind of like, man, I totally want to read that book. Let me know in the comments down below. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining me in this video. I look forward to seeing you in my future ones. Until then, bye-bye for now.